Hi guys, Artie here, and today I'll be briefly reviewing the hugely underrated series, Dan vs. Not many people are aware of this show's existence since it was overshadowed by more popular series in the 2010s, such as Regular Show, Gumball, MLP, and Gravity Falls. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, this show also aired on the same network as MLP, a series that I really don't care for, but it aired on the Hub, nowadays known as Discovery Family. It aired on that network despite the show mostly being centered around a mentally unhinged man named Dan, who is constantly out for revenge, the show's main theme.
Where sweet and revenge come together.
It's a similar case with Regular Show where it's targeting an older teen or young adult audience and not really for children. The only reason why a more mature, suggestive, violent series, Dan vs. ended up on the Hub, a kid-centered network, is that no other place would pick up the series, as HBO, Starz, and even Adult Swim rejected it. The higher-ups even joked that they only launched the Hub just for the creators Dan and Chris to have their show on. Oh yeah, the characters are loosely based on their creators. The main protagonist, Dan, is a vengeful, vain, spiteful, hot-headed, caustic, deranged, and has severe anger issues and goes to DEFCON 5 over mild inconveniences. But is written so well that he is even relatable and a likable character, and we can clearly see why he acts this way. He is also unemployed, lives in a dumpy apartment, and has his best friends, and only best friends, Chris and Elise, pay for his utilities, food, and rent for him unless he gets checks from the government or something. He has another friend named Ted who is no longer on speaking terms with Dan, but he is never seen in the series. There was supposed to be an episode about him, but it was scrapped. Even though Dan is ill-tempered and impulsive, he still knows right from wrong and has morals such as when he freed the animals from the shelter before he blew it up, and he still cares about his best friend Chris at the end of the day and always wants to go to events with him. Dan's quotes never get old, like,
I can't believe how much I hate everything. I don't care who the IRS sends, I am not paying taxes.
Dan, right? You play basketball? I was thinking
Basketball is for communists.
Dan has a very strange patchwork of knowledge. Watch. Hey, Dan, who sculpted Mount Rushmore?
Gutzon Borglum, then his son finished it. Why?
And what state is it in?
I don't know, Ecuador or something.
really, this series is such an underrated gem and so excellent that you should click off this video right now, and come back after watching a few episodes. All 3 seasons are free on YouTube, Tubi, and even the Weather Channel's niche streaming service Local Now of all places. If you like dark humor and shows centering around the theme of vengeance and insane characters, this is the series for you. His best friend Chris begrudgingly follows him in his quest for vengeance and tries to be a role model for him, or to stop him from doing something rash, but ends up getting dragged along with him.
Dan's best friend, Chris, is a pushover, but they work off each other really well.
Chris's wife, Elise, is usually the only one capable of putting Dan's problematic and reckless plans to a halt whenever they go too far, often beating him up or restraining him. She is also an undercover spy for the government, kind of like Kim Possible, and I find this subplot interesting and I wish they focused on it more. I'm surprised not many people actually care for this aspect of the series, and I think it's pretty cool. Some side characters like Elise's parents, who hate Chris and even tried getting help from Dan to get rid of him in one episode, Dan vs. Chris. I'm honestly surprised this series did so well with such a limited roster of characters to work with, mostly because each one has so much depth and personality and the series relies on one-time antagonists so much like Regular Show does. There's even lesser known background characters like the hippie Crunchy, Dan's crush Hortense, Ninja Dave, and the Sheriff who all appear infrequently and don't have many traits and aren't focused on much, usually only to get a plot going. I wish some of them like Ninja Dave appeared a little bit more, my only complaint. The first season premiered on New Year's Day 2011, being one of the few series on the Hub not based on a pre-existing property. Most of Dan's vendettas are against abstract concepts, objects, and even states rather than actual people, and it is interesting to see how it's accomplished. For example, he decides to get revenge on Canada and cause an avalanche after he coincidentally gets covered in maple syrup. There was a second season that aired later that year into 2012, and followed by a third and final season that aired in late 2012 into early 2013 that only had 13 episodes. For the record, Season 1 had 22 episodes and Season 2 had 18 episodes. People say the second season is the worst one, but I think they are all equally great in their own ways. I found no signs of degradation in the series. There's no flanderization, unnecessary changes, out-of-place stories and humor, or seasonal rot whatsoever. It's a perfect run from start to finish. Also, each episode is only 22 minutes long. Unfortunately, there are no specials, TV movies, or films, most likely because of the show's format and ending too soon. On a final note, the show animation-wise looked really well, but towards the end of Season 3 you could tell it's nearing the end of its run and the budget was getting lower. The style is really good and kind of reminds me of the Looney Tunes show. When the third and final season finished in 2013, the series was put on hiatus and the network even claimed a 4th season would have come eventually, but it never happened and it was quietly cancelled for unknown reasons as the Hub became Discovery Family. It's a shame, really, since it had pretty good ratings and excellent reviews. The creators and voice actors said it was a good run and had a blast creating the show and decided to move on. Rumors floated around this time saying that Dan vs. would be coming to Cartoon Network, but they were quickly debunked. It's always these great cult classic series like Dan vs. or The Oblongs that actually have potential and end way too early into its run, mostly because of executive meddling. After nearly a decade of no mention of the show whatsoever, in the early 2020s, the show gained a cult following and found Dan as a hilarious and relatable character who has every right to be angry. More people are talking about the show, making memes and videos with out-of-context quotes. In 2021, there was speculation about a possible revival of the series as the creators and the cast, most notably the co-creator Chris Pearson, who was on board to revisit the series and possibly pitch it to a service like HBO Max. Yes, I'm calling it HBO Max since calling it just Max sounds stupid. No updates have surfaced yet as of July 2023, but I'm hoping either they'll get another season in the future, or maybe even a comic or movie based on the series. Thank you for watching. Do you think Dan vs. deserves a 4th season and have a triumphant return? Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, notify, and check out other videos on this channel. Maybe I'll start reviewing a few episodes of this series.